Hello and welcome to part 3 of Learn to Embroider with Winnie the Pooh and Friends. In this tutorial we will continue adding embroidery to your Pooh and his honeypot square. Today in this issue you'll develop your embroidery skills by learning new stitches, the detached chain stitch and the Pico stitch to sew some lovely flowers in the meadow. You'll also use the detached chain stitch to complete the bee's wings. This video, along with the step-by-step instructions in your stitch library from the magazine, will help you to learn any new stitches. I really hope you'll enjoy adding to the Pooh and his honeypot square in this tutorial with me today. So, shall we see what we need? For today's stitches we are going to need a pair of small sharp scissors, along with the Pooh and his honeypot square, the needle and the embroidery hoop from the previous issues, along with threads number 25, which is a sky blue, number 83, which is a light green, number 192, which is a mid green, number 193, which is the pink, and number 197, which is a bright blue. Remember that you can keep your threads neat and tidy by wrapping them around the card bobbins, but don't forget to make a note of the number on each one. To begin with, I'll be using 3 strands of thread number 25, which is this sky blue, to embroider the bluebell flower. Take some time to practice the detached chain stitch, and when you get the hang of this simple stitch, you'll be ready to embroider these gorgeous flowers in the meadow on your Pooh and his honeypot square. The detached chain stitch is a lovely stitch and great for creating beautiful flowers and details to brighten up any embroidery. So starting with your needle behind the fabric, push it up at your starting point and pull the thread through. Then push the needle back down at the same point but leaving a loop. Push your needle up from the back to the front of the fabric at a point inside the loop and pull the thread through the loop. To continue the stitch, push your needle from front to back of the fabric just above the loop thread and pull to complete the stitch. The detached chain stitch creates a stitch that looks like a petal with a loop secured at the top. You can create different looks depending on how you secure the loop, which can be long or short, loose or tight. The lazy daisy stitch is made up of detached chain stitches worked in a circle to look like a flower. As decorative stitches, they can be used to create petals, flowers, leaves and plants. The detached chain stitch can also be used as a powdered filling where single stitches are scattered across a design with space between each one to fill an area. So once I've finished the bluebell flowers, I will then rethread my needle with 2 strands of thread number 192, which is the mid green, and that will be for the bluebell stems using back stitch. For more information on how to do the back stitch, please check out the previous video for issue 2. To finish with this thread, we're going to secure our stitch by sliding the needle under an existing stitch and knotting the thread using the needle. I will then rethread my needle with 4 strands of thread number 25, which is the sky blue, to stitch the bee's wings in the detached chain stitch. And then I will rethread my needle with 2 strands of thread number 83, which is the light green, for the leaves on the flower stems, which are also in detached chain stitch. I'm then going to move on to the pink flowers on the right of the square for the last detached chain stitches for today, using 2 strands of number 193, which is the pink, and that will be completed in the Lazy Daisy stitch. Lazy Daisy is formed by creating several detached chain stitches in a circle, with each stitch's starting point being at the centre. The next stitch we are going to learn is the Pico stitch. Also known as long-tailed daisy stitch, Pico can be considered a variation of the detached chain stitch. When you've got the hang of the new stitch, you'll be ready to finish off the meadow by stitching these cute bright blue flowers on your Pooh and his honey pot square, using 2 strands of thread number 197. So for step 1, starting with the needle behind the fabric, push it up at your starting point and pull the thread through. Then push the needle back down at the same point, leaving a loop. Push your needle up from back to front of the fabric at the point inside the loop and pull the length of the thread through the loop. And then when you have the desired length of thread to create a tail, push the needle back down through the fabric to secure the stitch. You can make the tail as long or as short as you need, and you can also have the loop loose or tight. Here the loop is loose with a short-ish tail. So with the single loop that is secured with a stitch at the top, Pico or long-tailed daisy stitch is very similar to the detached chain stitch. But the securing stitch is made long instead of short, giving it a long tail. So Pico stitches are lovely stitches that could be used also as a powdered filling or to create cute leaves and flowers in the same way as the detached chain stitch and Lazy Daisy stitches. And to finish, we're going to secure our stitch by sliding the needle under an existing stitch, making a loop, and then pass the needle through the loop to make a knot and repeat. If you can, then store the square flat using tissue paper to protect it from being marked. So those are our new stitches from issue 3 complete. I really hope you've enjoyed continuing your Winnie the Pooh quilt with me today, and I hope you'll join me for the next tutorial where we will be completing the Pooh and his honey pot square by learning the satin stitch so you can embroider the bees, honey and Pooh's t-shirt, nose and paws. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.